Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Okay. So, right. Let's then get started, right? And today we are going to speak about changing times. And to be exact, we will be speaking a lot about teenagers today. Yes. I'm going to show you some pictures, right? Showing teenagers. Tell me, what do you think about these teenagers, right? So here they are. Here are different pictures of teenagers, showing different states and different moods of teenagers, right? Let's describe them. How can we describe these particular teenagers? How are they feeling and what impression do they give you? So how about this girl? What do you think?
She is sad, and maybe she have negative impressions of something.
Yes.
Yes, and she don't want to communicate with
Anybody? Yeah.
anybody. Yes,
Right. She don't want or she doesn't want?
she doesn't want.
She doesn't want, right? She looks also bored, right? And I totally agree with you. She wants everyone to leave her alone. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. How about these guys?
The girl looks like a bit aggressive. And they are looking from high. Можно так сказать, смотрят с высоты.
They are a bit snobby. You can say snobby. Snobby это вот snobby. Right.
Да, с презрением, как сказать, презрением.
Okay. I will check it out, okay? Give me a second. Just a moment. With contempt, probably is the best one. With they are looking with the contempt, yes? Contempt. With contempt, yes. Okay. Right. To me also it looks like they are quite rebellious teenagers. Do you know the word rebellious?
No.
No, rebellious, it is an adjective. I will write it now for you. That means when, you know, anyone doesn't want to stick to the rules, when anyone wants to express themselves and go against the rules somehow, yeah? Rebellious. In Russian, we would say like бунтарский такой вот, да, бунтарский. There is a noun, you can call them, they are rebels, a rebel, yeah, it's a person. And you can, and you can also use it as an adjective, rebellious, yeah, rebellious, okay? So do they look rebellious? What do you think?
Yes, I think so.
Right, okay. Good. So how about these ones?
They are very relaxed. They like to dance, to have a party,
hang out. Yes, hang out.
Yes, they are happy.
Exactly. Very open-minded and very easygoing teens, right?
Yes.
Oh, good. How about this boy?
He is very сосредоточенный.
Concentrated, focused.
Yes, on something interesting for him.
Yes. Right. And you can see that he's studying very hard. Yes, probably he is preparing or revising for his exams, right? Final exams or university exams, right? So he's working hard, he's studying hard, right? Okay. Ludmila, and what do you think? Is being a teenager an easy time, or is it a difficult time for a person to go through?
It's a difficult time for a person.
Why's that?
They are not children and no adult person. And sometimes they don't know how to do something, what to say, and because they have a mind, children, and a mind of adult. Sometimes they don't know what to choose in some situations, and also they have a study of aging, and it also break sometimes their impressions of word, of relationship, and so that.
Yes, very good point. Very good point. Yes, and you also say that they are not adults yet, yes, and they are not children anymore. And that is also the society, yes. In some situations, the society wants them to behave as adults. In some situations, the society says, no, sorry, you can't express your opinion because you are not adult enough. Yes, and that also confuses them a lot, right? I would also say that very often teenagers are under a lot of pressure, yes, because they have to make life decisions, right? What to study at university, they have to study hard and pass their exams successfully, right? And stuff, which can be rather stressful for them. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
On the other hand, many people say that is the best time ever. Yes, because you can party hard. Yes, you can hang out with people, with friends, and you are a lot more communicative. Yes, than when you become an adult. What do you think? What stereotypes do many people have about teenagers?
They decide they have a stereotype that teenagers are always aggressive, and they always rebellious. But it's not also so.
It's also not so, definitely, but it might be true, yeah, that the teenagers are a bit more rebellious, yes, and the mood can change very often, again because their hormone system is changing, yes, and they can't always control their behavior.
Yeah.
We are going to look at three here. We're going to look at three little texts which would speak about the teenagers, right? And about actually some researchers. I'd like you first to look at this blue part and tell me, do you understand all these phrases in here?
Tackle the problem at the
Tackle the problem. That means to solve the problem. Yeah, so it is another word for solve the problem. Yeah, tackle the problem. Right.
Increase funding. Funding.
So funding is when anyone gives money to any project, for example. Yeah, funding. And here is also a good one, carry out research. How would you understand to carry out research?
To make a research.
To make a research, yeah.
Research.
Right, but a good phrasal verb to carry out a research, yes? So tackle the problem, increase funding, and carry out the research. Yeah? Carry out. Okay. Good. Could I ask you to read this paragraph, the first one, and complete it with these phrases which are given in the box?
In American university recently decided to increase funding into the problems facing teenager, or maybe carry out research into the problem facing teenagers. The research revealed that teens will experience stress due to worries about the future.
Yeah.
Schools need to come up with a plan to tackle the problem. The researchers argued.
Прям на первый. Argued.
And the government needs to increase funding to pay for more research.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So the problem that is described here is that teenagers, yes, experience a lot of stress due to worries about the future. Yeah, they have to make any decisions about their future, right? And schools need to come up with some ideas to tackle this problem. Good. Right, let's look at this one, the second group.
When the use of, take action, do more, to warn about the dangers.
They all clear?
Warn about the dangers, волноваться просто об опасности.
Это не worry, а warn about the dangers, предупредить об опасности. Warning. Да? Точно знаете слово warning, yeah? So warn about the dangers, предупредить об опасности. How about the word ban? To ban.
Забанить.
Да, забанить, ну, как это, запретить, да? Запретить, to ban, забанить, Good. Take action, all right. So, do the same with the second one. Yes, look through and complete the text with the words that are missing.
A new report has found that lack of sleep is widespread among teenagers. It's not enough, the reports say, it's not enough, to warn about the dangers of insufficient sleep. Parents should take action. They should ban the use of mobile phones after 9 p.m. and do more to encourage healthy sleeping habits.
Yeah, that's right. And do more to encourage it. Do more to encourage. That's right. Okay, lovely. So yes, insufficient sleep, yes, or lack of sleep. I love the word lack, yes, so when it is not enough, and here it is lack of sleep, недостаток сна. And widespread, Людмила, how do you understand widespread?
Широко распространенный.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And here was also a good one, insufficient sleep. How do you understand it?
Недостаточно.
Даже не столько недостаточно, вообще некачественный, insufficient. Да? Yeah, when they don't sleep enough, when they wake up constantly, when they go to bed too late, this is all insufficient sleep. Okay, which can, yes, cause many problems, yeah, like a feeling of anxiety, constant feeling of being worn out and stuff. All right, let's look at the next group of words. What is new?
Crack down on. Сломать, что ли? Сломать?
Almost. When you crack down on some issue, you try to improve it. Yes, crack down on. How to say it in Russian? Just a moment.
Что-то сломать, чтобы сделать лучше.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Сломать установку.
Like to deal with the problem. Yes, I would say to deal with the problem, can crack down on something.
Enforce a law.
Enforce a law, that means when somebody introduces the law. In Russian we would say как внедрить, да? Enforce. Let's try.
Teenagers' health is decline and schools are being asked enforce a law that bans the sale of sugary drinks at school. And their reports are also want school to offer alternatives to fizzy drinks like water. In order to change life for the better for teenagers, the reports say we need to crack down on schools that offer fizzy drinks and no alternative to their students.
Exactly, right? Okay. Good. So that is about healthy eating, yes, at schools, right? And by the way, yes, many schools would not provide any healthy drinks or any healthy snacks, yeah, for teenagers, as we actually know about it. I remember my university, we had a canteen, yes, but the canteen had so long queues, you would never have a chance to get any healthy food, right? And there was a little buffet or something where you could get some unhealthy snacks, and that is what we did actually, right? Yes. Okay. So Ludmila, I will ask you to read these about these problems one more time. Yes, work individually a minute. Read again and tell me, what do you think? Which of these problems is the most serious and the biggest? Right? So a minute, look through again.
I think that last two problems are more prominent, the lack of sleep and unhealthy food in a recent university. Because the first problem, I think, it's a problem of their parents.
Okay.
The worries about the future of teenagers. I think it's not the problem of teenager in many cases.
Okay, which makes sense. I agree. Right. What about the second two? Do you think it is an actual and up-to-date problem?
Yes, I think it's actually a problem because many teenagers are using mobile phones during evening, during night, during all days. And it's really the problem. And they don't know about a healthy sleep, and they think that they're healthy enough to sleep less hours, but it's not so.
Obviously.
And also about the unhealthy food, because the unhealthy food are often more tasty and more как-то более доступно.
More available.
more available, yes, and it don't need to be prepared, and they eat it more охотно.
Okay. Right. With great pleasure, with better pleasure.
Great pleasure, yes, than healthy food.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Tasty. What's comparative form of tasty?
More tasty.
Tastier. Yeah.
Tastier.
Because it is a short word with a Y ending, so tastier, right? Okay, fine. And what do you think about enforcing a law to schools to ban selling some unhealthy food and offer alternatives to it?
I think it's a good idea to ban school to sell sugary drinks and fast food. I think it's a good idea.
Yes, rather share your opinion. Yeah, because if children have alternatives, they would usually pick-
choose alternative.
True. Ludmila, do you think there are any other problems that would face teenagers? Yeah, or that would be true for teenagers? So we've got here the stress and worries about future, lack of sleep, yes, and unhealthy diet. Do you think they have any other ones?
I think the modern problem is the stress from the load of teaching process, because they have many subjects and many tests, many exams, and it's stress because sometimes they take a lot of time to teach a subject,
to learn a subject,
to do a homework.
Yes. Teach the teacher teaches, right? And the
to
student learns.
Okay.
Right, exactly. It's definitely true. When I was working with teenagers, right, they were like high school teenagers. They said the amount of homework they have to do is so enormous, and if you do everything, you will never have a chance to sleep or anything like that. Yes, and the teachers want more and more and more from them. So this is the time when they learned to prioritize, you know, which subjects are more important, which are less important. But still, if you want to be a good student at school or at university, you have to learn great amounts. Yeah. And this feeling of competition, constant competition, makes them feel anxious very often. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. By the way, your daughter is a teenager, isn't she? How old is she?
Yes. She's 12.
She's 12. Okay, so young teenager, right? She's coming to this age.
Yes.
Would any of these problems be actual for her as well, do you think?
I think the unhealthy food is very actual for her, because she often comes home, and nobody at home at that time, and she eat what she like. She eat chocolate, cookies, and something sweet, and she hired the paper from it in her room. Yes. And sometimes I find it in her wardrobe, in her bed. Yes, and she do it very often.
She do or she does?
She does it very often. Yes, and the other problem is the load of learning. Нагрузка, да?
Pressure, yeah, they are under a lot of pressure.
Pressure, yes.
Right. How do you tackle the problem of unhealthy diet?
I try to to say her what she have to eat after school, and I try to manage what she eat at school, because in school application we can do it, because after paying you can see what your children are buying.
Okay, super useful, right?
Yes,
Good.
yes.
So you monitor it. And what about big amount of homework and pressure at school? How do you manage this problem?
I don't know what to do, because I don't know which subject to learn and which don't learn, because now the teachers ask all subjects, and sometimes, for example, math and history take too much time, and it's not easy for her, and she also has additional subject in additional schools also, and I don't know how to do with this, that problem.
Right. Rather hard, yes, because if you, well, if you don't come up, or if you don't do everything or most of the things, yeah, the teenager can be left behind, yes, all the program, which is also not a good thing. Right. Okay, very good. Just a second, yes. I would like you, yes. Так, как бы так показать все? Наверное, не получится. Okay, I can't show them all. Then let's go to this one. We will have a look at an interesting story that happened in Iceland. Could you, and it happened between the 1980s and 1990s. Could you please read the introduction to the story that happened in Iceland and tell me what was happening between the 1980s and 90s there? So what was happening?
The teenagers in Iceland was very wild and rebellious, and they have worse behavior in Europe.
Yes, they had, yeah, because it was in the past. They had
worse behavior in Europe. But now they are best behavior teenagers in Europe.
Yes. All right, that's surprising, isn't it? Yeah. So the children went wild, the teenagers went wild, yes, and they were doing many crazy things in there. But things changed because the government and the parents took some actions. Ludmila, the question to you, what do you think? What actions did they take?
Maybe they show them как сказать, кумиры, stars.
Okay.
Stars with good behavior, or maybe they paid them for good behavior.
Oh, okay. So bribery, yes.
Yes.
All right. They paid them for good behavior, okay, which is a way of stimulation, right?
Yes.
All right. Any other ideas?
Maybe the other ways of stimulation, but I don't know which.
Okay, okay. Some other ways of stimulation. Or maybe they punished them very strongly.
No, I don't think that it's work with teenagers.
Okay, okay. So you'd rather stimulate them but not punish, yes?
Yes.
Okay, super interesting. Let's listen and check, yes? What actions did the government and the parents take? I'd like you to listen and take notes, yeah? What actions do you hear, right? Because they took several actions, not only one.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Unit 2, Recording 4.
You're back with Leona Mackenzie, and this is my Talking Teens podcast. Today, we're looking at the problem of misbehaving teens in Iceland and what the government has done to tackle this problem. As we said earlier in the programme, the first thing Iceland did was carry out research to find out exactly what the problems were. Then they created a plan to tackle the problems, and the plan that Iceland came up with was called Youth in Iceland. It had 4 main points. Firstly, the law was changed and all tobacco and alcohol advertising was banned. Now, you can really understand why the government did this. On the one hand, teenagers were being told not to do something, but on the other, they were being shown advertisements on every street corner encouraging them to do it. Secondly, Iceland started to crack down on misbehaviour. A teen curfew was introduced. Children between 13 and 16 years old weren't allowed to be outside after 10 o'clock at night in winter and midnight in summer. If you got caught outside after this time, you got taken home and you and your parents got told off. Today, this law is still enforced by groups of parents who patrol the streets, looking for teenagers who shouldn't be out. Thirdly, groups of parents in each area wrote parent-child contracts, and local parents were then asked to sign them. The contracts contained the rules that parents should enforce. For example, teenagers should not be allowed to have a party without an adult present. Parents were also told to spend more time at home with their children, and some parents were encouraged to go to classes that taught them parenting skills. Fourthly, the government realised that funding for teens needed to be increased. Hundreds of clubs were set up around the country, offering a wide range of leisure activities. For example, sports clubs, music clubs, art clubs, and so on. These clubs offered teenagers an alternative to bad behaviour. At the same time, parents were given a leisure card worth €300 per child per year to spend on leisure activities for their children. These days, almost half the teenage population goes to a sports club 4 times a week or more. Indeed, since the project began, the lives of hundreds of thousands of teens have been changed for the better. Using Iceland as a model, many cities across the world have started to tackle the problem of teenage behaviour. Or perhaps it's more accurate to say that they have begun to tackle the problem of how society treats teenagers.
Okay, okay. Right, such a success, yeah?
Yes.
Right. So, Ludmila, which actions did you get? Did you hear?
First, they have a new law. They changed a law and they banned alcohol for teenagers.
Right. In fact, well, the alcohol was banned for teenagers, but they banned alcohol and tobacco advertising.
Mhm,
Yeah, they banned advertising of it.
mhm.
Why? Which is very, very logical. Yes. On one hand, the teenagers were told you are not allowed to smoke and drink. On the other hand, they see advertisement everywhere. Yes, and it doesn't match. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. What else?
They not allowed to stay at street for teenagers at winter after 22 o'clock and in summer after 24 o'clock.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
have to stay at home after this time.
Very good. And
Uh,
that has got a name. Yes, it's called a curfew. Yes. In Russian, how do we say it? Just a second. Curfew, like комендантский час. Yeah. So right, the kids had to stay at home. Yeah, and there was a curfew. Right. Okay. What else did they come up with?
mhm. Third, they have a contract with parent about the parents have to spend more time with their children.
That's right. Okay. Okay. Good.
And
What?
the fourth,
Mhm.
they became to funding more of teen activities, and they based many sport clubs, music clubs, and the teenagers have a possibility to have an alternative activity than to have a bad behavior.
Exactly, exactly. They introduced many leisure activities for teenagers, right? And they also funded a lot of them, yes. So they supported the families.
Yes, they supported the families. For example, they paid for families if their children go for a sport 4 times a week.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Right. Such a great project, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it's very great project.
Definitely agree. Do we have anything similar in our country? Are any of these rules introduced in Russia as well?
I think yes, because the last years there are a lot of sport activities in school, and there are many sport yards in Moscow, for example, and the small towns also, because we spend a small town in Lipetsk region, and there are the same situation.
Yes. Yeah.
In some towns in Russia are also curfew.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and alcohol and tobacco also banned for children.
Yes, and the advertisement is banned. Yes, advertisement, reklama, да? Advertisement of tobacco and alcohol is forbidden. I remember we used to have, yeah, tobacco and alcohol advertisement on TV.
Mhm.
I remember this beer advertisements, tobacco, I'm not too sure, but yeah, beer 100%. Yeah, now
Mhm.
it's not allowed. Yes, and in films, if anyone smokes, they would blur it. Yes, which
Yeah.
makes very good sense. Okay, perfect. Very, very good. Now let's listen to it one more time. And this time we will try to catch a little bit more sentences, and we will try to, just a second, complete a couple of sentences. Okay, so first of all, yeah, can you see?
Mhm.
Good. All right. Here from 1 to 6, I've got some sentences, right? But the main verb is missing out. I will ask you to listen and write down what you hear. What's the main verb which is missing out?
Mhm.
Okay, let's go.
Unit 2, Recording 4.
You're back with Leona Mackenzie, and this is my Talking Teens podcast. Today, we're looking at the problem of misbehaving teens in Iceland and what the government has done to tackle this problem. As we said earlier in the programme, the first thing Iceland did was carry out research to find out exactly what the problems were. Then they created a plan to tackle the problems, and the plan that Iceland came up with was called Youth in Iceland. It had 4 main points. Firstly, the law was changed and all tobacco and alcohol advertising was banned. Now, you can really understand why the government did this. On the one hand, teenagers were being told not to do something, but on the other, they were being shown advertisements on every street corner encouraging them to do it. Secondly, Iceland started to crack down on misbehaviour. A teen curfew was introduced. Children between 13 and 16 years old weren't allowed to be outside after 10 o'clock at night in winter and midnight in summer. If you got caught outside after this time, you got taken home and you and your parents got told off. Today, this law is still enforced by groups of parents who patrol the streets, looking for teenagers who shouldn't be out. Thirdly, groups of parents in each area wrote parent-child contracts, and local parents were then asked to sign them. The contracts contained the rules that parents should enforce. For example, teenagers should not be allowed to have a party without an adult present. Parents were also told to spend more time at home with their children, and some parents were encouraged to go to classes that taught them parenting skills. Fourthly, the government realised that funding for teens needed to be increased. Hundreds of clubs were set up around the country, offering a wide range of leisure activities. For example, sports clubs, music clubs, art clubs, and so on. These clubs offered teenagers an alternative to bad behaviour. At the same time, parents were given a leisure card worth €300 per child per year to spend on leisure activities for their children. These days, almost half the teenage population goes to a sports club 4 times a week or more. Indeed, since the project began, the lives of hundreds of thousands of teens have been changed for the better. Using Iceland as a model, many cities across the world have started to tackle the problem of teenage behaviour. Or perhaps it's more accurate to say that they have begun to tackle the problem of how society treats teenagers.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's compare, yes, what we've got. So how about the first one? First, the law
The law was changed.
was changed. Very good. Go on.
On the one hand, teenagers were being told not
Were being, and the third form, told. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're being told not to do something. Okay.
If you go catch outside after this time, you were taken at home. Taken
Home. And here, if you got caught,
good quote. Mhm.
yes, you were taken home. I agree. Okay, the fourth.
Today, this law is still enforced. Teenagers is not allowed to have a party without an adult
Yeah,
present.
but teenagers is not, can't be true. Teenagers in
Is
plural and
not allowed.
is the singular form, so should not be allowed. Да? Is не могло бы быть, потому что единственное число. Могло бы быть are not allowed, but should not be allowed here. The last one
Lots
is
of hundreds of thousands of teens have been changed for the better.
yes. Okay, brilliant.
Mhm.
Well, if you look at these sentences, at these verbs, what form or what structure, grammatical structure is used?
Passive.
Passive, exactly. You recognize passive very easily. Very, very good. Passive. When we use passive, then the subject, which is on the first place in the sentence, does the subject do the action or anyone else?
No, anyone else.
Anyone else? For example, the law was changed. Who changed the law?
People change the law.
People that changed, yeah. Teenagers were being told not to do something. Who told them?
Mhm. People told
People, parents, I don't know, teachers,
Yeah.
and so on, yeah. If you got caught outside, who caught the teenagers?
police.
Police, parents, yeah, and so on, yes. And you got taken home again by the police or parents, yes. So the subject is not active. The subject does not do anything. Anyone else does, right?
Mhm.
And can you remember the formula of passive? What is a general formula of passive?
Be and participle too.
Three.
Three.
Verb three, or if it is regular, then ed. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
told, tell, told, yeah, or take, took, taken. Verb three. And if I need to change my form according to the tense, if I want to use past simple or present perfect, what do I do? What do I change here?
To change be.
Only be. Yes, to change, I change only be. Good. If you look at these three sentences, which of these sentences is in past continuous?
We're being told.
We're being told, yeah, because you can see that we're being, it is past continuous,
Mhm.
right? Which of these sentences is past simple?
Was changed.
Was changed because was is given in the past simple. And have a look, it's super interesting. Sometimes passive can be used not with the verb be, but with the verb get.
Mhm.
What do you think? Does it sound more formal or informal?
Informal maybe.
Informal, yes. It sounds more informal, yes? Right. And okay, how about this one? Which sentence is used in present perfect?
Have been changed.
Yes, because have been is present perfect form. Which is present simple?
Is still
Yes, is
enforced.
still enforced. Which is passive with modal verb?
Should not be allowed.
Yes. And you see, you take should and
Mhm.
then be, да, как инфинитив. Можно его использовать с отрицанием, да. Should be allowed, should not be allowed, must be done. Yes, the report must be done. So after modal verbs, use be plus verb 3. Yes, just infinitive passive form. Okay. So we actually worked with passives, yeah, previously. So it isn't a very new thing. Still, I'd suggest looking at the whole rule in our student's book. Give me a second, right? Okay. Right, let's look through the rule and check out if we know everything or if we need any explanations here, right? So first of all, what it says, to form passive, we use, right, to be plus past participle or verb 3. which is
Mhm.
the same. Yeah, just different names for it. Let's look at the examples.
The law was changed. Lots of clubs are being set up.
Mhm.
More funding will be needed. Most teenagers joined the club that had been set up.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay, so and we can see, yes, that we change only to be again. Verbs in the third form always stays unchanged. Here was, are being, will be, and had been. That is what changed. It is changed. All right. Then it is also possible to use modal verbs, as we saw example with should. Let's see what other examples with modal verbs.
They realized that funding for teens need to be increased.
So needed to be increased, and
These new rules must be obeyed.
obeyed, придерживаться. То есть к новым правилам надо придерживаться. These new rules must be obeyed.
Mm.
Mhm. Right. Okay. So, and modal verbs are should, must, need, can, yes, have to, and other. What else? Some verbs can use get instead of be, particularly in informal speech. As we said, yes, it is less formal. For example, get paid, get fired, get caught, get told off. How do you understand get told off?
Прервать кого-то? В смысле,
No, to tell off это кого-то наругать, отчитать. Tell off. And get told off, то есть кого-то отчитали. Меня отчитали, например, я скажу I was got told off. Yes. Right. Get damaged, get promoted, get elected, and get notified. Yes. So these are the common phrases that you can use with the verb get instead of be. Check out the example.
You and your partner got told off.
Yeah, parents.
Parents.
Parents. Yeah, this is about these teenagers. То есть, когда вас поймают на улице, и вас, и ваших родителей наругают, отчитают, yeah? Sounds really like the Soviet Union time, but very effective, yes? Okay. In passive, if we want, or when use the passive when the doer, or the person who does the action, is not important or already known, we can understand who it is. Let's check out two examples.
The teens curfew was introduced.
Who introduced the curfew?
Government.
The government, exactly. So the doer is known here. Yeah. And the next example?
Parents were encouraged to attend classes.
Yeah. Who encouraged them?
Teachers or government.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, clear, right? You can, of course, say the 18 curfew was introduced by the government, but that's not necessary. We already understand it. Okay. When a sentence starts with a person or a thing that is already known to a listener, the passive form is more likely. Let's check examples. Just a second, I will.
Parents set up a sports club for teenagers.
Yes.
It was run by run by teachers at the school.
So the parents set up a sports club. Yes. And when we want to speak about the sports club, then we can use passive here very well. Yeah. It was run by the teachers at school. If in one sentence it is an object, you can use it as a subject with passive in the next sentence, right? And what it says, passive form is more natural here. Yeah. Okay. Right. Have a look. You can also say parents set up a sports club for teenagers, right? Teachers at school ran it. It's less natural, да? Звучит немножко так вот, да, чтобы оно соединилось вместе вот таким образом. Лучше использовать здесь passive, yeah? Чтобы вот тут вот у них была связочка вот так вот. Yeah? Right. Okay. I think it sounds quite logical, doesn't it?
Yes.
Good. Ludmila, any new information here?
I hope no.
Yeah, looks like we already know it. Yes, very, very well. Okay, okay. So now we will listen to a short, just a second, I will zoom it a little bit. Yes, we will listen and write down the passive forms that we hear. First, we will just listen, yes, and get what we hear. Second time, we'll listen and try to write the passives. Okay? So first, only listen.
Unit 2, Recording 5.
It is a great honour for me, as the mayor, to open this new sports club for teenagers. It was requested by local parents. It has been paid for by local taxes. It has been constructed by local builders, and it will be enjoyed by local teenagers for years to come. I declare this sports club open.
Very emotional woman, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like you to listen again and write down what passive forms do you catch here. Let's go.
Unit 2, Recording 5.
It is a great honour for me, as the mayor, to open this new sports club for teenagers. It was requested by local parents. It has been
Was requested by.
It was requested, yeah,
Yes,
by
it
local
was
parents.
requested by parents.
Okay.
It has been paid for by local taxes.
It has been paid for.
Okay.
Вот не услышала глагол.
Разочек, ага.
It has been paid for by local
It is
taxes.
Been,
It is being paid.
is been paid.
Yeah, like present continuous, yes?
It has been constructed by
It has
local
been
builders.
constructed by local builders.
And it will be enjoyed by local teenagers.
And it has been enjoyed by
Local teenagers.
local teenagers.
For years to come. I declare this sports club open.
Okay. So it was requested. It has been paid. Я вас немножко дезинформировала. It has been paid. Present perfect.
И здесь тоже has been.
Has been constructed. It in the future.
It will be enjoyed.
It will be enjoyed. Exactly. It will be enjoyed. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. So it was requested by the local. Yes. Okay. Let's listen to it again and check out if it was all right.
It was requested by local parents. It has been paid for by local taxes. It has been constructed by local builders, and it will be enjoyed by local teenagers for years to come.
Now it is all good and correct. But yes, the fact is that she says it's been, yeah, it's been. That is why it is a little bit more difficult, and it's been constructed here as well. Yes. Okay, perfect. So, and I would suggest, that as a homework part, you'd practice couple of passive sentences, right? A couple of passive exercises, and next time we'll practice them a little bit more together. All right?
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good. So then, Ludmila, thank you very much for joining in today, right? Have a lovely rest of the week and see you in a week. By the way, I started the speaking club practices on Tuesdays, and I would kindly invite you to this speaking club practices if you feel like practice just speaking a little bit more. Yes?
Okay, thank you. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not have a time at Tuesday.
Oh, that's a pity. That's a pity. Anyway, I mean, you can join if you happen to have a little bit time on Tuesday. Yeah, you can text me and I will send you the link for the meeting, right?
Okay,
Because
thank
you
you.
do not need to prepare, you do not need to come to every practice club. Yes, if you happen to have time, join in. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Then see you next time. Yes.
You. Bye.